Namaste, Galactic family. Welcome back to the channel, IndigoAngel. Come on in, sovereign, sacred, blessed hearts, and God sovereign free souls. I feel so enlightened to be here with you guys today, going into the topics of discussion. So, come on into this dimension, come on into this cosmic grid update. We have so much to get into today, and everything we're going to talk about is really deeply connected to my heart, my soul, my lungs, okay, the breath and the air in which I breathe, in which we all breathe. So today we're going to get into Brazil and the Amazon rainforest and what's really going on down in these grids on a metaphysical level, a spiritual level, an emotional level, a planetary level of gridwork restoration. We're also going to get into the mother grid because the mother grid is it's activating, but it's also rising up and it's being seen and felt more and more. And so there's a lot of new earth prophecy that is being ignited within the timelines, within the reality manifestation fields of the collective. And it's really bringing a lot of prophecy around the seventh root races and what these races are going to be like and what they're predicted to be like as they occur coming into the timelines of 12,000 CE, which is the Common Era. And so I do feel that this update is really aligning with Pluto that has moved into Aquarius. This happened yesterday. This is a huge shift into the Aquarian age for Pluto to go into Aquarius. So everything is truly unfolding in beautiful flow into our collective dreams and our collective unconscious and subconscious and our personal unconscious and subconscious. So this is a huge shift for New Earth and the telling times that are coming. So this is like a rebirth of Pluto into much more expanded energies, more abundant energies, more future energies, right? As we are all awakening to becoming vision holders of the future, vision holders of New Earth. And this is one of the ways in which we will sustain it and we will create it and we will dream it and we will build it with one another. So we're actually kind of moving into a more harmonious time. I think a lot of the tumultuous energies that we felt in October have subsided somewhat. But I think now the main stage of what's occurring is going to start setting some new initiations for more challenging energies to roll through in December. And so, what I've kind of noticed is coming through now, and this is kind of big news. You know, it always is when the reversal stargates start acting up and start activating and start running transmissions into the ley lines, essentially. What's occurring is our good old classic 5D reversal Stargate at the Vatican is making its way, okay? The relentless reversal code black hole is swirling and it seems to have opened its gates from Saturn. And I love Hawaii. I do. I love it so much. Yeah, I think this Taurus full moon really illuminated that fact. It really brought forward the fluidity within the reflections of the collective consciousness that the Vatican is definitely um, letting us feel its shifts that are occurring. So I'm going to go over everything that's occurring, what I'm kind of seeing in terms of indicators psychically, collectively, energetically within the ley lines and the grids that are kind of painting the picture of our now. So let's get into it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. hit the notifications bell, and make sure to drop a comment below and just let me know that you came into this video today and let me know what you resonate with. And also, guys, if you haven't signed up for my website newsletters, please do so at IndigoAngel222.com. This is where I release everything. Like, if you want to keep up with the intel with me, if you want to keep up with the writings, if you want to keep up with the downloads, if you want to keep up with everything that I have coming next, because I do have a really big announcement, which I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, so excited. As we're going to do another gridwork course for 2025. And these are really turning into just my funnest courses to do because just the group camaraderie and the mission work in these live course dynamics, it's just literally like we form such heartfelt connections and we form such beautiful community with each other. And what I'm most excited about for this next Gridwork course launch for 2025 is it's going to also be in alignment for the launch of my Gridwork book, which I have been writing um, all last week, just every day, like putting more and more in. Adding more, organizing more, formatting more, and it's really coming along actually a lot more quickly than I thought it would because I just already have so much ready for it and available for it. And so I just couldn't be more excited to offer a course and a book launch all around the same time. So you're not going to want to miss this course because this is going to be probably the most expanded course in terms of what we're going to be focusing on, which is global grid work and New Earth prophecy, which, as you know, is very significant for all of us who are sustaining the 5 to the 12D timelines for humanity, and we're upgrading as gridwork vision holders of New Earth and her glorious heavenly potential that is here on this beautiful planet. So everything for that course is currently on pre-sale for registrations. I will put the links down below in this video. And I'm going to go to my screen share with you guys so I can actually show you. So you can also find it at learn.indigoangel222.com. And this is, it will take you to my sign up page. So yeah, this is about preparing those with the tools and the knowledge and intuitive mastery required for global gridwork facilitation, planetary healing, which is huge. I think emphasis of planetary healing very much this time, and our New Earth prophecy alignment. Our 5-day course integrates practical and esoteric principles to interpret holographic spiritual geography and activate the planetary grids and align with the divine blueprint for Earth's ascension. And when you go to this landing page, it has, all of the current curriculum that's there, everything that we'll be going over. Now, this is just on pre-sale, so this actually isn't everything. There's going to be a lot more added to this, but this is going to kind of be the main template for the course. And it's going to be 5-day live classes. And I do have payment options and all the things available for you guys to make this a wonderful and easy, beautiful course to attend coming January 25th, 2025. That's when the first class will be. So, yes, guys, I'm excited to be able to offer this. And then this will be coming via the website email newsletter as well. I'm going to send this out. So, hence why sign up at indigoangel222.com to receive those website newsletters. Okay, so moving on. So, some strange realizations that have occurred. As many of you know, that I went to the Vatican in 2022. Uh, we really went there to work on that reversal Stargate and also learn reversal Stargate mechanics. And these are all things in which will be in my upcoming book and in my upcoming course. So, if these are things you want to learn about more and more, be sure to join. But essentially, we went there really, I mean, at the end of the day, it's to clear demonic energy. It's to um, go in there and extract the negative, right? And what is basically harming humanity and just bringing and anchoring a lot of light. And so we went in there with a really strong grid worker team that, it was an amazing grid work mission that we did. And we had a very spiritually wild experience. There was a lot of stirring that honestly continued to work itself out over the following year after going to the Vatican. This is actually a picture that we took there and just added some graphics to it to show, how potent the Saturnian um, overlordship and the Stargate mechanics, in which is tied to Saturn, is basically essentially like living there within the electromagnetic field. And something happened after this mission that I thought was kind of strange right after we left. And that was that Pope Benedict died. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I believe I left on the 28th or the 29th of December. And I was astonished, but at the same time, I wasn't surprised. I often find that things happen after grid work, you know? Some of the most powerful grid work that we do, we often see an immediate shift in result from it. It's interesting. I notice when we do our grid work, focusing on maybe like healed areas of the grids or healed stargates or locations in which there's a lot of light within the activation work of the grid work, the results are, I think they're more in the future and they're longer lasting. I notice when we do reversal on Stargate mechanics, they're almost immediate because the darkness responds quickly to the light. I felt deeply inside that our clearing that we did in 2022 at the Vatican, was in some ways aligned with that event of the Pope um, passing. So he passed on December 31st, 2022, um, in Vatican City. He was 95 and he just had declining health, I guess, is why he went. It wasn't like any nefarious thing essentially happened. Well, it's interesting. I was recently watching a show with Joe Rogan and Billy Carson, and he gets into the prophecy of the Pope. And you guys may have seen this one. I'll actually leave a link down below in the description so you can go watch it. But he was talking about a manuscript in the Vatican Archives library that states, and I believe that manuscript is actually called Prophecy of the Pope. And it states from 1143 to the current Pope, Pope Francis, states that it's prophesied that Francis is to be the last Pope. So no more popes coming after Francis. And I guess there's only like one picture slot next to Francis in the Vatican. And after Francis, they're stating in this manuscript that this will be the start of the Judgment Day. Okay, and these are coming from sacred texts in their own vaults of knowledge. And so, yeah, according to this manuscript, it literally ends after Pope Francis. And the prophecy prediction leads to the date 2027. They say the end of the world would happen 2,000 years after Christ's death. That adds up to 2027. So that's just kind of an interesting thing to, I think, take note of. You know how a lot of these predictions usually are more metaphorically happening and more symbolically happening and playing out more within the higher evolution of humanity. And so death often comes rebirth. So in terms of that, I personally would not take that as the world's coming to an end. Um, but I do think there are some more other things that we should pay attention to that are essentially alluding to kind of what may play out up until 2027 type of thing. So recently, lightning struck the statue of the Apostle Peter at the former Diocese of Pope Francis, and it essentially broke the halo off the head of the Apostle Peter and tore off his right hand. The right hand is significant because it was holding a key, which the Catholics perceive as a symbol of papal power, patriarchal power, right? Maybe breaking the lock and key of the Vatican grid matrix itself, right? Like if you think about lightning striking. And I want to say, lightning strikes are something that is very felt in Rome. That was one of the main things I really felt there, that like that city is relentlessly struck with lightning. Okay. And the lightning actually comes from like anger, vengeance, wrath, um, what's really pertaining to the old false alien gods energy, essentially. So I think the places in which the retribution, the karma of in which what they worship, of in which what they serve, which is Saturnianism. It's black magic. It is satanic ritual abuse. It is false alien, wrathful, angry, envious, jealous gods. Essentially, it stays within the reality field of their own um, energy structure, right? So it's like they're just manifesting the lightning strikes to come upon them. But this one particularly, I do feel could be connected to like a symbolism, a prophecy or a prediction, so to speak, that would be breaking the lock and key of the Vatican grid key matrix. And what's more interesting is this incident happened on Pope Francis's birthday at a declaration event that honored same-sex marriages. Okay, so there's just a lot circulating right now about Pope Francis, and this is how you know that the reversal Stargate is basically acting up. It's basically, initiating its transmissions to run into the earthly field, ley lines, grids, matrices, artificial intelligence, and artificial illusion. They're saying that Pope Francis has already been executed according to his crimes. There's like these certain organizations that issue crimes against humanity to the Vatican and to Pope Francis. I don't know how um, thorough these are, or how accurate these are, or how they actually implement these persecutions, so to speak, towards Pope Francis, but I think it is interesting to read them and to see what they're accusing him of. There's a lot of crimes that they list against humanity when it comes to the Pope, holding him accountable to his arrest, oftentimes for like keeping of the artifacts, for working and being in the bed with the black nobility lines and the Illuminati, for treason, for murderous acts against children and the innocent and the indigenous. So there's a lot of crimes in which they hold Pope Francis accountable to. So, it's a lot of dark energy in that role, in that position in which that Pope steps into. So, I honestly think they're pulling the Pope's soul from their own harvesting egregore Templar. Like they keep their own like Pope's soul monadic field in a perpetual loop cycle, essentially. So they'd come back in with the karma, every single time. But they're saying the one that we see now, he's an actor. So that, this prophecy is already unfolding. I think faster in the first and the second dimensional reality timeline fields. In the third and fourth, it's occurring a little bit more in the future. And then in the higher timelines, it's occurring like way in the future, technically already dismantled And it doesn't even have to occur because the probable and potential and higher timelines are already existing within it as well. So one thing I think we have to pay attention to is the open hits that we are seeing to the right side of the body. In general, spiritual attacks on the patriarchal masculine energy alludes to the right side because the right side of the body is essentially the masculine energy. It is the accelerated energy. It is the forceful energy. It's the most active energy, hence why most people are actually right-handed and there's less left-handed people. I do think that this actually has something to do with the J seals intertwined into humanity, that we would have a lot more left-handed people if collective humanity could remove all of these J seals, essentially. But this alludes to prophecy and signs of what's occurring around masculine power structures. They are actually dismantling, okay? They are actually getting a run for their money. They are actually um, getting energetic hits that are weakening their inner core power. And because of this dismantling, we also see an amplification of the dark side of negative patriarchy that becomes inflamed in destruction. Hence why we're watching the elevation of potential global war timelines that are arising, right? This World War III timeline and the running of revelations, the running of the actual J seals. They're actually literally running them right now. So everything along the 70-degree west vertical ley line on the east side of the United States, they're activating the J seals that correlate to the horses, the white horse, the red horse, the black horse, the pale horse, um, in all of their meanings and what occurs within that. So this is how this aligns to Trump as well. So I'm just going to tie this in. And hence why Trump was shot in the right ear. Okay? Everything on the right side of the body, masculine energy, spiritual attacks. Okay? Um, where Trump's first presidency, we experienced the black and the pale horse with the La Cucaracha plague. Okay. And then his second term presidency, which he's going to inherit the red horse. He's going to inherit the World War seal, basically. So this is something to just kind of pay attention to. I think anything going forward, we need to keep looking at where we're getting lots of symbolism of forward spiritual piercing, exact type attacks, implications, intentions, um, outwardly expressions within the media, within what's going on collectively. If anything's occurring right side of the body, you can see the continuation of this masculine body being handed um, spiritual, essentially dismantling, um, and hopefully recorrection of the authority within the predatorial patriarchal masculine collective rule. But I feel that these are not leading to the end of the world. It's not leading to the true judgment day. But these events signify a progression of closing the door or closing the chapter on certain old world beliefs and a rising of a new earth philosophy and new earth consciousness shift that will occur with greater waves of awakening. And we are living in the fourth dimensional times of revelations. This is what we can see into. Um, which clearly many of us are aware of this and that it's occurring. And those of us conscious in 5D, we're experiencing the revolution, the transformation in the higher timelines, and we are getting the vision of the new earth. So let's talk about the new earth and where this is really expected to kick off and begin. But I want to just say, guys, if you haven't seen this mission that we did, go and check this out on my channel, the rescue mission at the Vatican. Okay, so I absolutely love this picture. And I just want to say thank you so much to Evie for putting these pictures together for me. She did such a good job. They're absolutely fantastic. Um, but all of this new earth is bringing me back to Brazil. It's bringing me down to Brazil and the Amazon rainforest, the most mysterious and biodiverse place on the entire earth. Think about that. Ah, I like to call it our heavenly mother. Like this is the heaven on earth in which the words of the ascended master Christ spoke to in honor the feminine. And he spoke about this in the Gospel of Peace, the original Essene manuscripts, in which I have been diving into almost every single night. I'm like deeply in love with these manuscripts because it's genuinely, I think, bringing forth the closest original words of Christ and how much he emphasizes the equality of the Heavenly Father and the Heavenly Mother. So much equality, almost even more focus and beauty on the earthly Heavenly Mother, which is strange. I'm like, wow, they left all of this out of the Bible. I wonder why. So, yeah, it just really, I think, solidified that we are entirely on the right path when it comes to grid work because grid work is the marriage of the Heavenly Father and the Heavenly Mother. We're combining all elements of spirituality, from the higher to the lower to the inner to the outer to the micro to the macro. And so it's just, wow, we really are truly walking the path work of the Ascended Masters doing grid work. But yeah, her heart and lungs, okay, this is the Amazon rainforest, her heart and her lungs. The core of the mother grid is in the Amazon, in which plays a crucial role of global cycling. I think like 15 to 30%. And I say this because I've seen like a few different numbers now, and I don't know exactly, is it 15, is it 20, is it 30? So I would say 15 to 30% of the entire planet is drawing in carbon dioxide and expelling oxygen for the whole world. This is our cleansing system for humanity and planetary, spiritual, and emotional well-being, our spiritual immunity, a place on Earth that deeply, deeply needs to be protected because at the rate of deforestation, it could completely be destroyed in less than 100 years. And it's actually probably a lot less than that, to be honest with you. It's probably like 50 years. Um, Let me see if I can find this picture I have, right? Devastation. They're actually saying, okay, when I say they, I'm just referring to multiple articles that I've come across. They're saying it is ground zero for extinction level events. When this is destroyed and gone, this is when we are close, very close to mass extinction, actually. So, yeah, you can see the importance of the lungs of the earth, right? It's a vital organ for functioning. And Brazil has historically had the distinction of serving as the world's leader of deforestation during the last 3 decades specifically. An annual average of 6,500 square miles of the Brazilian Amazon, an area that is greater than the size of Connecticut, has been deforested. I also heard something that every second they're eliminating a football field of the Amazon. That kind of puts it into perspective for you. That's a lot. Every second, a football field. Satellite data indicates that the rate of Amazonian deforestation is accelerating in some areas. The rate increased by 50% since last year. And with over 20 million people and 70 million cattle now inhabiting the Amazon, about a 600% increase in the last 60 years, more trees are being raised to make room for cattle ranches. Plus the fires. now that are basically ravaging the Amazon. It never used to be like this. They never used to have a lot of fires in the Amazon. And so every year this is getting worse. So I do feel this is really one aspect as grid workers we need to deeply, deeply, deeply be connected to. I've yet to even do any sort of remote mission or global boots on the ground grid worker mission where we focused on the Amazon, but my attention has deeply shifted to work on the supportive assistance of the planet. When I was in Kauai, Hawaii, we really deeply attuned to the great spirit of the earth and her need for our support. I would say this was one of the key things in which I became very aware of while I was there was how much we are needed to support Earth in her current battles that she is facing. This really did come through the spirit of Mama Kauai. And grid work at times can also be about solely relieving the emotional and soul burdens of the planet, like pouring into her cup, going to her depth of blockages, going to her depth of pain, going to her depth of suffering, her root of grief. What is the planet feeling? What is the planet going through? Because we need everyone, even planets, okay? Every living thing in existence can be comforted to bring relief, especially during a time of great change, right? Changes are not easy. And so the earth needs us to bring relief and our need to feel her grief, okay? And we talked about this on the last energy update was that we don't have to let grief entirely take us down, but we do have to be able to feel the range of these emotions because feeling her grief restores and connects us back into her. Rejecting and denying her pain and her grief is what separates us from her. Okay, we don't feel like we have to take accountability. We don't feel like we have to acknowledge. We don't feel like we have to. This is humanitarian narcissism at its finest towards its own heavenly mother, towards its own planet. Okay, this is how a narcissist would treat you. Um, in a rising time of challenge or difficulty or problem is they would not acknowledge what you're going through. They would deny it. They would sweep it up underneath the rug. They would emotionally deny you any sort of validation. And this is basically what humanity is doing to the planet. So we actually have to feel her to restore us and connect us back into her to become one with her, understanding the planetary stresses and what's occurring within her vital organs, right? We can't just like issue the planet like an antibiotic and be like, "Oh, you're good to go. Let's just keep going." That's not how it's gonna work. This is gonna require a much deeper level of a pure, loving intimacy that is reestablished and restored with the planet and humankind. And if there's anything I tuned into in Arkansas, it was the grief of the United States. I mean, the mainland is entirely bogged down and plagued in what's really going on in the land, what's entrapped in the land in the first dimensional purgatory time fields, where a lot of the haunting is essentially going on. And this really signaled to me the need to look at the Amazon for planetary rescue and restoration for clearing earthly grief. Because according to Chinese traditional medicine, if any of you have studied this, which is awesome. I think I even I did. I interviewed a Chinese traditional medicine doctor one time. I have to tune back into her with this one, but essentially in this tradition, grief is directly associated with the lungs. The lungs are responsible for receiving and releasing. And when grief blocks this exchange from the heart, it will cause lung infection, can cause lung infection. Um, see, I had a picture of So this is the us feeling, right? This is us tuning into the heart and the lungs of the Amazon. But this is really what's going on. This is really what's happening down in those lungs of the Amazon. Great picture, Evie. Thank you so much. When any living consciousness is in prolonged grief, it leads to exhaustion. It leads to, and particularly to our Heavenly Mother Earth, as Christ would essentially illuminate in all of his light and glory. And when I say Christ, like I'm speaking to Christed consciousness, okay? I'm speaking to the qualities and the attributes of this consciousness versus just narrowing it down to one individual being. But I pay homage and respect to the prophets regardless, right? We wouldn't have this knowledge if it wasn't for um, the mission work of Christ, if it wasn't for the grid work of Christ, if it wasn't for the teachings of Christ, we wouldn't have learned so much about this connection to our own son. And so, yeah, prolonged grief can lead to exhaustion, exhaustion of the electromagnetic grid, exhaustion of the universal tree of life, which is the marriage. The universal tree of life is the marriage of the heavenly consciousness, the heavenly source, the heavenly Father, and the marriage of the heavenly earth. The roots of the tree of life are the earth, and the trees and the branches are of the heavenly Father. And it resides in the eternal sea. This is being exhausted. Earth's spiritual immunity is breaking down. Excessive and longer timelines in dissension cycles will occur. This means that it's harder to lift, it's harder to shift. We stay in dissension cycles longer. We have more difficulty regaining strength to transcend dissension cycles. And you can see how this plays on your own physical health, your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit. You can see how this is actually occurring, how we are getting more time in dissension cycles than we do in the ascended timelines, especially existing and residing in environments in which are not being supported or sustained by the earth because she can't support and sustain us because her passageways are blocked with devastation, destruction, and grief. It gets harder and harder to shift the dissension cycles, and this isn't normal. Okay, I have to I feel like I need to ring a bell. I don't have a bell in here with me. I have one in the other room. Ding, 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 wake up. This isn't normal. Being stuck in pain and grief for long periods of time isn't normal. Having difficulty struggling to emotionally, spiritually, and mentally work through your day isn't normal. This isn't the life that was intended for humanity. There is an inability that Earth has right now of letting go. Okay, why it's blocked is because she can't let go. And why she can't let go is because she's in grief about what is being lost. Just let that soak in for just a moment, right? There's a plane and a circulating of justice that's coming through. There's a plane and a circulating of transformation that has to come in. There's a need for rescue and aid and assistance that has to occur. There's a deeper awakening. How low does she have to go before humans awaken to this, right? Now, the lungs are a partner organ with the lower intestine. So the heart's like a partner organ to the brain, um, also a partner organ to the lungs then a partner organ to the large intestine. So it's connected to the whole organic network. And in Arkansas, when I was there, it really felt like this was the lower intestine of the earth. The bowels, and the bowels really felt blocked. And then the intestines of the earth are connected to the Amazon rainforest, the lungs and the heart. So it's one high level intelligence system that sustains the consciousness of the planet. Like her consciousness is rooted in these organ systems. Okay, her memories, they are directly the connection to her Akashic memory, her Akashic field, the Hall of Records, the race morphogenetic field. Okay, if things like the race morphogenetic field starts getting damaged at higher levels and rates, I mean, the planet's really in trouble. The planet's definitely in a state of Armageddon at this point. And yeah, the mass level extinction type things will be occurring because basically that would be blocking the incarnation gates into the planet. Those would essentially be blocked. That means there would be a ban put on planet Earth for incarnation. Celestial bodies and celestial systems will no longer have an earth to call home essentially anymore. Grief, I personally feel into the collective is on the top of the list for what's needed in terms of planetary rescue mission. Yeah, there's a lot of other things right now that we're going to be focusing on. Um, one of them is Peace in the Middle East. This is going to be the next grid worker mission on November 26th. I'll leave a link down below if you'd like to join me for that remote mission. You can do a one-time drop-in or you can join me on patreon.com/IndigoAngel. And we're just gonna really focus on the energy vortices and gate systems and ley lines in Iran and Israel, helping to just really meditate and pray and extract the dark forces in which are occurring over there to try to assist with this red war horse that's activating. But global devastation at a whole is really taking a toll on our heavenly earthly mother. It's really truly been loss after loss after loss. From the rodent and cockroach infested concrete jungles. I wonder if I have a picture of the concrete jungles. Okay, going back to my devastation picture, cell towers, nuclear radiation impact sites, Fukushima, Chernobyl, cell towers, oil spills, extinct animals, particle accelerators, detrimental Atlantean weaponry, planetary bioweapons, false Saturn programs, um, tragedy and comedy programs, right? Cruelty, the beast machines, raping of the Earth's minerals and her soil, weather modification weapons, artificial high category storms wiping out our cities. Just recently in North Carolina, okay, the devastating fires in Hawaii and the Amazon rainforest, the deforestation, dying of the coral reefs, the lungs of our ocean. I'll tell you what, we went into the forest in Arkansas, okay, and we found like a coral reef there. And when we tuned into it, it's like we were healing the oceans from Arkansas. So everything is spiritually, emotionally, energetically binded. All life forms are strung together through the mother grid. And the dying of the coral reefs is affecting the lungs of our ocean, the cleansing systems, the purification systems, all the way to World War III events, bombing and killing in Israel and Iran, which again, please join me for that remote mission. Guys, this is going to be a huge mission, I think, that's really centralized around current events and what's occurring, which are very much a part of grid work, from Ukraine to Russia, and possibly soon to be the United States and Russia and China. It's like the term World War III is a threat, that these um, country rulers utilize. Literally the World War III is a trigger word. It's a threat word that everybody fears. And so the planetary sensitivities within the division and deterioration are impacting the organs of the planet, vital life resources. There's also a lot of grief for the divide between the sexes. I don't know if you've been watching what's going on with this 4B movement. It's definitely political, but this is where women are essentially refusing marriage. They're refusing childbirth. They're refusing dating. They're refusing sex with men as a response to Trump's win. Okay, and the gender inequality that they feel is happening within the country. I mean, they think this really like amped up the last couple of weeks. I'd be interested to find out if these women truly actually stick to their word on this, because I really wonder if, half of the women in America refusing childbirth and sex with men, if this actually would start to impact our birth rates. I honestly don't blame these women for feeling the way that they do. And it's not, for me personally, it's not coming from the reasons of abortion. Okay. It's really just sexual reproduction equality, which is definitely, um, the burdens of this is tipped onto the woman's shoulders versus the male's shoulders. And I don't really need to get into the list of the reasons why. I think everyone at this level, it's pretty blatantly clear and obvious, you know, um, and I want to kind of, I'm speaking to the men, but I'm not speaking to the higher consciousness community of higher divine masculines, in which are in their heart space, in which have emotional empathy, in which have higher vision and can see what's occurring within the world, that have truth within them. So, disclaimer, I'm speaking to the men of the world, the patriarchal domination and control types, okay, that are carrying all the masculine implants and seals, that are carrying all the J seals, that are carrying all the Draco seals, that are carrying all of the distortions that they use as a weapon to weaponize against women, that there just simply is a lack in males' evolution when it comes to emotional intelligence. Okay, emotional intelligence, or even just overall intelligence. Okay, because the patriarchal brotherhood, the invaders or the predatories, the Anunnaki, the hybrids, okay, the hybrid children of the reptilian bloodlines, these families, they're bred for war. They're bred for domination and control. They are bred through the Abrahamic religions and race lines. They are bred through hatred. And because of this, they are deeply capped off from the Heavenly Mother and from her consciousness. Okay. And they're not evolving, right? If they got J seals in the body, they're not embracing their feminine consciousness whatsoever. And if they were, they would be caring about things that are occurring that are sentimental value to the vital survival of their existence. So I think this 4B movement is really, an interesting stirring that's occurring, the stirring that's occurring. This is just kind of a picture that I found of this. And, there's so much distress right now. There's so much division between relationships, between family, between men and women, between the imbalance of the workload of reproduction and childbirth, within families and the dynamics of marriages and union. This is just so completely crumbling to the ground. Religion, okay, the division and the hatred in religion, liberals against conservatives, terrorism, racism, and just all the other forms of pure hatred towards another human being. Okay, humans are still not getting the point or the picture that we're one. We're one soul family working through collective humanity, soul trauma together. We are one. And we don't actually, this is where I think a lot of the Stargate death mechanics, where there's a lot of talk about leaving the Earth, getting off planet, um, learning the passageways to how to do this in the afterlife, da 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 da. It doesn't actually work that way. And I couldn't put a finger on it for the longest time. Why something just, I was always so uncertain with that. That was one thing that I was uncertain about. And it became very clear to me going to the Guardian Rescue Stargate in Hawaii. I was shown that we are one and we all use the mechanics of this Stargate as one. The souls become one through the stargates. Like the earth, the heavenly mother processes your spirit and soul. It does come from her. And so none of us leave this planet individually. When the soul collective of humanity is ready to transcend this planet, that is when we go. And so that is why it's so important for us to deeply, deeply shift and raise the consciousness on this planet and this earth. And I don't want you guys to think that this is a climate change rant, because the opinions on this are across the board. I know that. But I think that we can all collectively agree that times are increasingly more difficult, and a lot is currently occurring in the unknown zone, right? And we can feel the distress in our bodies, we can feel the distress in our minds and our hearts. And if you're an empath, if you're an HSP, if you're an indigo, if you're a starseed, if you're a child of light, how can one not access the lungs and the heart of the earth psychically and telepathically, emotionally and spiritually, which is what we are? That is the core of our existence. And tell me that all of this is not here in her heart, is not the grief in which is in her lungs in the Amazon. Those with the highest levels of empathy all know this heartache. We are all seeing through her eyes because our eyes are her eyes. The lungs of the earth are calling to us. So the grief list goes on and on. The grief is mine. The grief is yours. The grief is everyone's. It is the grief of humanity that is opening us to all of this. And the question becomes, do we dare to open and feel the intensity of this grief? Or do we fight it? Do we continue to push it down? Will our collective lungs collapse under the weight of it all? Or will we surrender, allow, feel, change? We must do this for our survival. We must heal our collective hurts and wounds. We must start bridging the great divides that separate our hearts from each other. We must start paying attention to our sweet heavenly Mama Earth. And it does start with healing our personal grief. It does start with forgiveness. Um, Changes, though, healing our hurts, our wounds. It starts with the radical notion of loving ourselves. It starts with being fully present in our own hearts. It starts with taking a breath deep into our lungs, one of gratitude, love, and joy, one of holding with tenderness the grief that is also present, and then working this clearing to the lungs and the heart of the earth. Yeah, so I'm just taking a deep breath with that, guys, because I felt myself moving the energy just as I was saying it. Now, to broaden this deep dive into the grid work, let's talk about the mother grid. The mother grid is a deeply spiritual, multidimensional architecture that forms the core creation structure of Earth, representing the inner body and energetic field of the planet, the spiritual functioning, the holographic fabric of creation that sustains all life across all physical, spiritual, holographic, and quantum dimensions, metaquantum, hyperquantum, Whoville. uh, Essentially, the mother grid upholds all bio and autogenetic life forms and is the foundational energy source for the planetary light and grid fields. These fields in turn power the organic crystal structures that act as the planet's energy protectors, generators, immunity, fueling Earth's emotional memory, and storing essential information within the mother access gateways of the inner Earth. At the heart of the mother grid lies the planetary mother mitochondria cell field, located deep within the Earth's core. This collective inner earth cell grouping is the source of the creation consciousness that binds DNA codes into every living being on the planet. This is how and why we're all connected. We're all coming from the same original mother mitochondria cell field. These energies radiate across multiple dimensions. And how you know this to be true is if a human being goes off this earth and tries to live on another planet, over time, your your body will weaken. Over time, your body will no longer begin to function. 5, 10 years on Mars, you're going to become deathly ill and sick because your mother mitochondria is not the right genetic code for Mars, right? This is how we're all binded to the same earthly mother mitochondria cell field, is we need our Earth to live. It's all contained within the race morphogenetic sphere, the planetary noosphere, the planetary Akashic field of memory. Additionally, the mother grid pulses through the 0 point Earth-based crystal mother water zones, the inner diamond crystal oceans, the actual 0 point field of the planet, and it ripples out as global and collective reflection waves sustaining the Earth's magnetic body, auric fields, and higher and lower astral layers. We can also term it the mother spider grid, is used to describe the intricate weaving connections of organic life bodies, creating the feminine Earth grid template. This grid sustains life within the multi-milliverse, expanding out into larger structures within the Earth's core and throughout its expansive energetic web. Every galaxy in the universe lives within the consciousness of her fabric. It is the energetic vessel that houses and carries the Great Spirit, the Mother, the Great Spirit, the Great Mother Spirit. So the central hub of this web is located in the Amazon rainforest, you guys. Okay, this is the web radiating through the Amazon. And this is where the seventh root race is going to emerge. So there's high levels of tribes of guardian initiates and um, guardian frequencies that are here. We're going to get into this in terms of New Earth prophecy. But just without the presence and protection of the Great Mother Spirit, the web of life would essentially disintegrate. Plants and trees will completely wither up. The forest will die. Rivers and waterfalls will dry up. The sacred birthing pools will dissipate. Planetary chakras like Machu Picchu, Glastonbury, along with mother arcing stargates like Uluru, they would also essentially collapse. The Earth's spiritual immune system would deteriorate rapidly, triggering a cataclysmic collapse of collective consciousness. Now, this would be the reminiscent of the Great Fall of Atlantis. And I think we really need to consider, did the mother grid collapse in the fall of Atlantis? Did we push the Earth to the brink of mass global extinction event? Was that the fall of Atlantis? We just talk about consciousness falling and things being corrupted and invader races coming in, but did it actually entirely deconstruct our mother life force grid field? Without the Great Mother Spirit, the Earth would fall under the control of destructive forces, ushering in an era of darkness and domination. So it's very important for us to sustain the Mother Grid and the Mother Grid New Earth prophecies. I really like this one. It's just got like a vibe of the New Earth tribes. So, New Earth prophecy. Coming 12,000 CE Common Era into the future, South America and specifically Brazil and the Amazon rainforest will be considered the nursery. It will be considered the swaddling cloth. It will be considered the mother's nest, mother's breast milk. It is considered the Mother Mary protected lands. I have a beautiful picture of Mother Mary in the protected lands. And if you get my website newsletters, you get all these pictures in the newsletters if you like them, if they inspire you. Uh, but yeah, the Mother Mary protected lands, a future location of a golden light city. Okay, we've talked about the golden light cities and how these will manifest coming into the future, and that they will be bringing forth cathedrals of learning, teaching humanity of a new way of existing, peace, grace, and love and honor, integrity of the highest timelines. But in the Amazon rainforest, this will be where highly evolved life streams will embody the earth. And as of right now in the Amazon, we have hundreds of indigenous uncontacted people and tribes in the Amazon rainforest. There's hundreds of tribes of people that live there, okay, technically in secrecy to the rest of the world. Most of the rest of the world doesn't know they're there, but they're hidden deep in the Amazon and they're not contacted by the outside world. The Brazilian Willy Wonka protects them, okay? These indigenous uncontacted peoples and tribes are really one of the only things that are protecting the Amazon. One of the only things that are holding back the deforestation and illegal logging that is occurring that is tearing the lungs of the earth apart. These uncontacted tribes, these are these are the Mother Mary grid protectors. They're the most and pure people on the planet, technically, and they're connected the most to the earth. And this purity is being preserved and protected for a reason. The Amazon rainforest and the New Earth Golden Light City will be the place where the seventh root race will emerge. They are called the seventh Manu. They are a prophesied generation of peace and grace for the coming of New Earth. And they've been spoken about in a lot of writings and teachings. Like you can literally find it on Wikipedia if you search up the seventh race. Um, Madame Blavatsky talks about this. Gloria Del Toy talks about the seventh Manu. They are the prophesied generation of peace and grace coming for the new earth. This race will inhabit from South America. Several new islands will also emerge in the Pacific, such as New Earth Lemurian islands, such as Dove Island. You know, all of these beautiful new lands will come forward that these races will inhabit and create culture, create new society. These races will have advanced spiritual capabilities such as hypertelepathy and telekinesis abilities, which is hypertelepathy and telekinesis abilities is required for higher level unity consciousness on the earth. Advanced intellect, vast spiritual knowledge and wisdom. This will pave the way for the new earth metaphysical venerated population. They will be the ones venerating the coming of the 12,000 Common Era. And so I can't say for sure like where in this timeline the seventh race emerges, but I do believe we are in the sixth subrace currently. So we actually are somewhat close to the seventh race emerging, if they haven't already started to emerge, if they aren't the uncontacted tribes in the Amazon themselves now and currently, that these races come back to teach the world, right? Because think about that. They're existing in this uncontacted state in the Amazon where they are aware of the destruction around them. They are aware of the outsider and the dangers that we have, the killing machines, okay, the diseases. They're aware. So they hold that wisdom gene code in their DNA. There is a reason for that. It's being protected. This will be during a time also, so when we talk about how far in the future this is going to occur, it could be like another 2,000 years. Okay, because if we have 2027 collapse of the Vatican, Pope Francis, stack another 2,000 years on that, we're going into year 4,000. That sounds about right for the seventh root race. To me personally, I resonate with that number. But this will be a time where changes in the sexes may occur and become one sex again. Conception and birth will become an entirely spiritual process again, where beings will be aware of the importance of genetic compatibility and how they will again know how, and they will uphold the 12th dimensional soul blueprint into the planet. Their full 12D blueprint intact when they bring soul incarnates into the planet. So the 12D blueprint will be restored, and this is how. And basically, all evil and wickedness, cruelty, hatred, and destruction and war will be entirely eliminated off the planet. So something's going to occur between now and the seventh race that radically shifts the patriarchal, dominated, hybrid bred, war minded, negative ET human types, in which came for death and destruction and doom and corporate corruption. Okay, so it's an exciting time with a lot of changes, right? And we have so much to keep in mind when we look at the higher revolutionary 5D timelines and the vision quest of New Earth. We begin to really understand the current processes that we're in. And I think it does actually aid and assist us with being able to then regain awareness of what exactly we need to be doing to assist and help the planet. So I'm not quite sure with where I'm going to go with Brazil just yet. I'm kind of going back and forth on potentially putting together a boots on the ground grid worker mission to go to the Amazon. But I'm just kind of sitting with it right now. I'm kind of stewing with it because I don't want to overload my plate too much. Um, so one step at a time, but I think the next step will be to do the Global Gridwork and New Earth Prophecy course, get this beautiful grid worker book launch out, and be sure to join me, guys, for Peace in the Middle East grid work, November 26th, 2 days before Thanksgiving, 1 p.m. CST. We're really going to be focused on cleansing this grid, a lot of healing, a lot of sending restoration and aid to this part of the world, focusing on cooperation and dismantling of division and separation, hatred, lack, all of it, greed, just biblical devastation, lust um, for killing. And my diamond package as well. I'd like to highlight this package. This one is a great package if you really want to work deep with me and go a lot deeper. I am skilled in the realm of healing grief and working through grief and clearing grief. So if you are going through something or a hard time in which, maybe you need assistance with helping to shift this within your life, whatever it is, right? We can hit it at all angles when it comes to the diamond package because there's a deep level of consultation and evaluation that occurs. We also structuralize and customize the sessions around what is necessary to heal and clear you according to what's most imperative. And so I really love this package because it really allows me to get to understand people at a much deeper level because there's many, many sessions that go involved into detailed spiritual healing. So this would be, my recommendation for anyone that thinks that they would want to do many sessions with me, as it does include the consultation for free. And I do have a coupon code for this, which is Indy222, which gives you 10% off of this package. So yeah, guys, you will be getting this beautiful newsletter that I put together for you guys in your email. So stay tuned and be sure to sign up for those website newsletters, IndigoAngel222.com to get those. And thank you guys so much for listening to this update today.